Welcome back to Lean in Government, the podcast where we talk about practical ways to improve processes, develop people, and solve real problems in the public sector. I'm your host, Alan Gannick. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the problem solving through bottlenecks and how value stream mapping can help us see what's really going on in our process. In government, many teams are working hard. People are busy, and yet things take too long. Permits are delayed. Quests sit in the queues. Projects stall. And very often, leaders respond by pushing people to work faster or by adding more steps, more approvals, and more controls. But Lean teaches us something different. Most problems are not caused by people. They're caused by the system. And in almost every system, there's at least one bottleneck that limits flow. Today, I will talk with you through how to identify bottlenecks, why fixing the wrong problems leads to frustration, and how value stream mapping gives a simple but powerful way to see waste, delays, handoffs, and constraints across the entire process. If you want to stop guessing, stop firefighting, and start solving the right problems, this episode is for you. Let's get started. Today, I would like to speak to you about a challenge that I had by leaders while working for a local government, where permitting process was taking too long, way too long. What happened in this organization is that the contractors, start complaining to the city management and were demanding that some changes were done. Let me start from the beginning. So this process was really old school process. And this process was taking 6 to 12 weeks sometimes to issue a permit, which is really unacceptable, especially if you're a contractor and you depend on your customers and you depend on this permit because you can't do any work until you receive this permit in your hand and to proceed with your work. So that's a bottleneck for the customer. So I was approached by my boss and asked if I could solve this problem and this issue that was brought to the city manager and the mayor. What I have said, I said, of course I can, but not by myself. I'm not the expert and I need a team to help me identify the problem or problems and help me solve the problem. Before I even assembled my team, what I said is I need to go to Gamba, actual place of work, to find out what's really happening with this process and where do we have those stoppages and delays, which we call them bottlenecks. So what I do, I start from beginning. I start to do the same process as a customer. So I had to go to a certain location, to a certain building, stand in line and fill out the form that the customer needs to fill out to be able to get the permit. So I timed myself, tried to do it. So it's, of course, fake information and all that. I just want to see what the customer is experiencing when they utilize our services and when they apply for this tap permit. Then I followed one real case from beginning till the end. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the whole process, and maybe I'll find that VSM, value stream map, and I'll put it behind me here so you can see. But I think the initial process was around a month and a half. It took a month and a half from the time somebody submitted a permit request till they received it in their hand and they could proceed with their work. So I followed one real case, and that's the best way to do it. So what did I do? What tool out of the Lean toolbox did I use? Today, we're going to talk about value stream mapping and how beneficial that is to identify problems, bottlenecks, and with the team to identify which issue to address first, what problem to solve, in which order. So I followed this entire process from beginning till the end. So when the permit came in to another person that's in charge to enter customer data and information into, I think it was 2 or 3 systems, um, I started from there. So after permit was received, I know how long it took to fill out permits. I know what kind of customer experiences our customers had. Then I started to document the process from A to Z. Also, in addition to that, in addition to my clipboard and a pencil and a piece of paper, I also started to record. I would have a camcorder and record every step throughout the process. And you might be asking me, why are you recording? What's the purpose of recording this current process? Well, the purpose of that is to later sit down with that individual in a conference room, play it again, replay the whole video of that entire step, what they have done, and discuss what improvements we can do. Where are the problems? Where are the delays? And also to talk about the waste in the process. So remember, in Lean, we don't blame people. People are not to be blamed. What do we blame? I hope you learned by now. By the 6th episode, we blame the process, never the people. So what did I do? I recorded with the first individual, and I saw this individual entering same data and information in 3 different locations. It's in a work order management system, another documentation management system, and then third one, I don't remember what it was, but it was some type of Excel file where they were entering the data. So that's one of the things that I asked this person after everything was done. So when you go observe, remember from our 2nd episode, observe, listen, don't talk. Just listen and observe and take notes. That's not the time to talk about it. That's not time to point out some wastes or issues that you have may noticed during this observation. No, let the person finish the job. Make sure they feel comfortable. Let them finish it. Don't rush them. Tell them just to do like they always done it. Then I sat in a conference room with this individual, replayed the video, and we found out some issues. I started asking, so why do you have to enter the same information in 3 different locations? Why do you use 3 different types of softwares? And the person had explained to me. And then everything was done on a paper. So there was 3 copies. You write over very hard. You have to write over each copy so everything transfers to another copy. And then this person, after they completed their task, they would take it to a file cabinet which was on the 2nd floor, up in the mezzanine. And then the other copy, they took it to the 1st floor, different location. And the 3rd copy, they sent it to the building where the customer was applying for that permit. So 3 buildings, 3 locations utilize this information. And at 3 locations, people are responsible to do something to produce this permit for the customer. So that's the important thing that we need to note is listening, observing, documenting, and video recording. I know in some cases you're not going to be permitted to video record, and that's okay. I understand sometimes those circumstances do not allow us to record. If that's the case, don't worry about it. At least write down what you saw. Write down some data and information. When you do a value stream map from beginning till end, from A to Z, so what's the cycle time? What's the quality between these steps? Okay. What's the duration time, which is a wait time? To know what the total lead time at the end is. What's the total lead time? What's a value added time? And what's waste, non-value added? So what we want to focus when we work from lean perspective is eliminate as much as possible or reduce the non-value added time. All right, so we're not going to learn today how value stream map works, and we're not never going to learn any of these tools, how they work in any of the podcasts. So this is not the time and place where to learn, but it's what I'm trying to do is to introduce to you a way how to improve and how to utilize this tool that you hopefully will learn later, and then apply it because it will bring you a lot of good benefits. All right, so let's go back to our story. So I finished that. So then after I documented the value stream map from beginning till the end, so it took me weeks because you always have to go to the Gamble actual place of work. So I followed one particular permit because I want to know for this particular customer how long it took, what was the experience for this customer, okay, and to see where the bottlenecks are. I'm going to mention a few bottlenecks that I encountered while speaking to the team, and that was batching process. There was no one piece flow. What's a one piece flow? So customer applies and somebody starts processing this from A through Z and gets it done and gets it to the customer. That was not the case. It was a batching process. Every person, every individual that touched that permit, that form, that request was batching. When they had a certain amount of those, then they would stop what they normally do and they would process some of these permits. That was one bottleneck. The other thing that's important to note, I assembled a team. So I wanted to have a team of experts to help me solve this problem. Yes, I was able to document the value stream map, record everything, and then replay that to my team and show them what I found. One of the things one of the things I've done, and that's very important, is to assemble and bring the right people to the table. So what did I do? I brought people who touched that process, people that process the process. Okay. So that's number one. So three different ladies were in the room. I remember those conversations where somebody says, "You do not want to bring this person into a room." I said, "Why?" "She's a complainer. She doesn't like any changes. You're not going to accomplish anything. I would highly recommend as a manager that you don't bring this particular individual. You can bring others, but don't bring this one." And what I told that individual, that leader, is if I want to bring anyone to my team, is that person. Why? Because that person does it every day, has done for many years. I know they don't like changes. I know they're going to have something to say about it, and that's okay. I am firmly believing that this person will change their mindset by the time we're done with this project. Just allow me the time and space to spend some time with this person. Of course, I got the approval. And then I brought IT, somebody from IT that's really specialized in digitalization, somebody who can help us from the IT perspective and with other softwares and find some solutions. Then I brought some of the internal customers, somebody who is kind of internal customer, not the outside customer. I wish I could bring an outside customer, but in this particular case, we couldn't. So we brought some internal customers to the table and so a few other folks. So there wasn't a huge team, maybe 6 or 7 people in the room along with me. And then we started looking this whole process. So we laid it out on butcher paper on the wall, the current state. Here's our current state. And I verified this with people of knowledge to make sure that those steps are the correct steps. And we arranged everything that where it was. We had some data boxes explaining the cycle time, quality, duration time, total lead time, and all that good stuff. So we had that as well displayed on a butcher paper. And then we sat back as a team and said, let's look at the process. Look at the lead time. A month and a half. Is this really acceptable? Would you accept that as a customer? People said no. But there's not much we can do. We're government. We're limited. We have things that we have to follow. We have policy to follow. We're not a private sector. And the team was telling me, I don't think there's much you'll be able to change because we're a government. You don't understand. This is not a private sector. So that is typical. Resistance always going to happen. I always tell people, when I start approaching a project and start working with the new people, introducing lean, they always hate me before they start liking me. Why? Because people don't like change. I understand that because I'm a human being as well. I'm not an AI. I'm not a robot. So I understand their feelings and understand that nobody likes to change, right? But there's a way we can learn how to deal and adjust when time comes to make some changes in our process. So I start working with the team. We start watching the videos and start discussing and questioning every step. And then we found out on our value stream map where we spend the longest time. And then we zoomed in and said, okay, what's going on here? So why we're spending so much time here? One of the causes was like batching process, approval process, handoffs, those type of things. Then what we have done as a team, we looked for opportunities for improvement. So we focused on the process that took the longest. What can we do to improve that? What can we do to change the process so it runs faster, better, and quicker? So some of the ideas that we had as a team is, how about we only enter the information in one system? And that information, like a customer name, a customer address, phone number, email, and so on. And that information gets transferred into other softwares that need to have that information. So IT, sitting at our table, said that's not a problem. Then I had a challenge by one of the team members who processed these permits and said, well, this is not going to work because I need to have a report on Monday at 8 o'clock. And if you do this and that, that's not going to happen. I still have to go into do 3 different systems and pull some different information from each system to regenerate or generate that report that this person normally does. And then I asked the IT, I said, is there a possibility that you can generate this report for this individual to be emailed every Monday at 8 a.m.? He said, not a problem. He said, give me a week. You'll have a report. Just tell me what information you need. I'll be able to pull from all these different softwares the information that's needed. I'm going to compile that into one report, and that's going to digitally come to you or whoever needs to see that report. So that person was skeptical and said, I don't know, didn't believe in it. But we tried and experimented and it worked. So that's one thing that we did to overcome. The other thing that we did is batching process. We changed the way we do the business. So what we found out is when everybody batches throughout this whole process, that causes a delay, a waiting time. Then we found out that using these paper copies, it's not the most environmentally friendly way to do it. And it's not most efficient way to do it. And it's really quality-wise not the best way to do it. So what did we say? We said, well, we live in the 21st century. AIT, is there a way to digitalize this form from beginning for the customer and digitalize this entire process so we get rid of Excel files, all these paper copies? And of course, what did he say? Yes, it is possible. To make the long story short, we digitalize the form so the customers no longer have to go to a certain location, to the certain floor, to the certain desk to grab a copy of a permit form and fill it out. They could do it on Sunday from their couch, from their sofa, or from anywhere actually, as long as they have internet, and submit that. So next working business day, our people would receive. So what did we do? We said, let's get this done immediately. As soon as we receive something, let's process immediately instead of having that mindset of batching. Let's not batch. Because if we do a one-piece flow, and I don't have time to explain this in detail, but when we do one-piece flow, we work faster. Not by pushing people work faster. The process allows us to work faster and be more efficient instead of batching. And we proved that concept to this team that was processing these permits. So we started, said, let's just forget about batching process. Then we found out a bottlenecks where we had to wait for a long time for approval. Then question was asked, why do we need to approve from this certain process? And out of those old people that needed to approve something, we found out really only one person needs to make an approval. And then we talked to this individual on how to improve their process of approving something. So instead of weekly on Friday, they approved daily. And if they're not there, they had a backup who would do the same thing. And the backup knew that these permits are very important. To make the long story short, with all these ideas that we did with team and improved and identified bottlenecks and worked on bottlenecks and created a future state map, and then we saw what the gap was between future and current state, and we worked on it as a team. The entire team was able to reduce that whole lead time from a month and a half to only 1 week. And I have to share this story with you. I was at that time sitting and working from City Hall. I was on the 4th floor, and our executive office was on the 6th floor. And one day I was sitting in my office doing something, and I can see an older gentleman walking towards me to my office. There's a big hallway between me and that entrance in my office, and he was yelling, Alan Gannick, Alan Gannick. So I didn't know if I should respond or not, because in government, sometimes we have people that don't like us, so we were always prepared and trained by professionals to be vigilant and prepared if there's someone that wants to attack us or cause some harm because we're government officials and they didn't like something about our services or how we run government or something like that. So I didn't know what this individual really wanted, but he was yelling, shouting, Alan Gannick, Alan Gannick. He's looking around, and nobody wanted to say a word. My colleagues didn't want to say a word. Nobody knew what was going on. We were kind of frightened what's going to happen. So finally, I raised my hand. I said, that's me. What can I do, sir, to help you? And this older gentleman approached my desk and said, I just came here to shake your hand. I said, what? Shake my hand? What for, sir? I don't understand. What's the point of that? So we shook hands. He said, I just want to thank you. And here's why. He said, I went to the mayor's office and wanted to thank the mayor and city manager personally for the improvement that the city has made. But then they told me, it's not us. Go talk to Alan Gannick. Him and his team are the ones really who deserve the praise or whatever for the process improvement. So they told him where I was and directed him to come see me. This gentleman told me that he had a business, 30-year business, 30 plus years, and has many employees working for the city of Grand Rapids, and that he never experienced in 30 plus years such a fast process of receiving a permit. He said, where were you 30 years ago? I wish we had this solved 30 years ago. Here's why, he said. I need this permit to be able to proceed with my work. And if I don't proceed with my work, I get yelled by my customer. How come you're not doing this? How come everybody else has done and you're not done? So he said, that causes me a bad reputation, even though it's not my fault. And I tried to explain. Some people believe me, some don't. So he said, this improvement that I saw, I think he saw on YouTube. Our city used to post on YouTubes, every time we did some improvements and celebrations and something, or on a local network, they shared it somewhere. And that's how we found out that we have done this and who was responsible for it. And then he came to the city hall to thank us for that. Why do I mention this? Well, this was a bonus for me. Remember, in government, you never receive bonuses. You'd be happy if somebody says thank you and pats you on the shoulder for doing something good. Remember, it takes a special person to work in government, people who care about people who care about their communities and want to help people. And I was among those great people that served this great city in state of Michigan. So I had a privilege for 14 and a half years to work among them and be part of that great team. So today I wanted just to show you a way how value stream mapping can help you identify your problems, bottlenecks, focus on the most important one, address one at a time, and resolve all problems after some time with your team. How important it is observation, recording what you see, reviewing this with your team, getting your team's input, experimenting their ideas. Some work with, some don't. Write it down. And then find the new ways. Think outside the box. Just because we've done something forever doesn't mean we have to continue with that. Think outside the box. And how are you going to get to those improvements? By involving your team. That's what Lean is about. I always say Lean is not about one person, one Lean practitioner, Lean facilitator. Lean is about working with people, developing people to see through a Lean lens like you are saying things. Because they're the ones that are closest to the Gemba, actual place of works, those are the people who are going to help you solve the problems. So what I'm talking in today's story, what I'm talking about is not that I solved. Yes, that gentleman came to and shook my hand because I was a leader of that project. But I had a team behind me. If I did not have that team, I would not have solved anything. I involved the people who are closest to the work and who do this work every day, so I have their buy-in. I listened to them. I let them experiment some ideas. Okay, what did they do to me and the rest of the management team? We got their buy-in. They did not let this new system to fail. Okay, versus non-traditional or traditional way of managing and leading people, not involving people, hiring someone to fix your problem. And at the end, nobody wants to follow it. It's confusing. People don't understand the benefits of it. They were not involved. So that would be the wrong approach. As a wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one key reminder. You don't improve processes by fixing everything at once. You improve a process by finding the bottlenecks and focusing your energy there. Value stream mapping that I mentioned in this episode today helps us slow down, step back, and see the whole picture. Not just one piece, one process, the whole picture of the work. Not just our department, and not just today's problem. It helps us understand where time is truly being lost. We can see that on value stream map when we post it visually. Where work is waiting. Remember, batching processes. We were clearly seeing that when we saw on a value stream and then in the video, we can see what we were talking about. And where effort is not creating value for the citizens. in government especially. This kind of visibility is powerful. It shifts the conversation from blame to learning, from opinions to facts, and from working harder to working smarter. If you're a leader, coach your team to look at the system, entire system, not just one area. If you're a team member, ask where the flow is breaking down. Where is it slowing down? And if you are solving problems, make sure you are solving the right one. With that, thank you for listening to Lean in Government. If this episode was helpful, please share it with a colleague, leave a review, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Together, we can build better systems, better leaders, and better government. Until next time, keep improving.